How's it going, Diablo players? So I just want to talk a little bit about the non-physical damage and how it affects the sorceress meta in Season 6. So a lot of you probably, choose Enlightenment now on the PTR because this is simply extremely strong. It gives you 25% damage, 45 mana rec, and 20% attack speed, which is extremely strong. And basically, this alone is invalidating any other key passive other than maybe Shatter if you're playing like some kind of, fireball pushing build. But a lot of people are actually overreading this bottom sentence here where it says, while enlightened, your bonus damage with fire, lightning, and cold are equal to them combined and you gain. So what does this actually mean? This actually means that is a 3x for your non-physical damage stat. Because non-physical damage gives fire, lightning, and cold damage. So any non-physical damage you take on your gear, for example, this Winter Glass here has 94% non-physical damage. Take that times 3, like 300%. Tarasha Ring, I know these are like all legacy items and it's pretty bad, right? But if you have a greater FX Tarasha with non-physical damage, you can get up to like 300% non-physical damage on that. And then you take that times 3, which actually gives you the 900% additive damage just from like your Tarasha Ring. Same with the boots. So we have this new helmet now, which gives us crit chance, right? So basically your boots slot is freed from Asus now. So you can play these Rakanos Wake, for example, and you get yourself a greater FX non-physical damage, and again you can get up to like 250% non-physical damage or something like that. That's again another 750%. So that being said, there's also Frostburn. I know the numbers are crazy high right now. That's probably they forgot to squish the stats here, most likely on the lucky hit. If not, this is going to be the best in slot gloves anyway. But also this, as you can see, this has on a greater affix double masterwork 446 fire and cold damage. So what does this mean? This is actually 900% additive damage, which is pretty strong, especially if you are like in the early game, right? So don't compare it to the 100% super uber juiced level 100 Paragon glyphs. If you compare it to those glyphs, these 900% damage seem, well, not even weak. They're still strong, but okay, you're not gonna have this level 100 destruction glyph with 1,000 critical damage. You're not gonna have this, whatever this glyph here is, you're not gonna have this Enchanter glyph level 100 with 900% additive damage. It's gonna take a lot of time to farm those glyphs to level 100. Or like casual gamers or like semi-casual gamers. You're probably gonna end up with like level 46 glyphs actually cutting this in half. Right, so let's say your best glyph, which is probably Enchanter's probably going to be the best glyph for Sorc right now. So let's say you only have it like on rank 46. This is just going to be 450% damage, right? So you compare it to a Frostburn, for example, this is 900%. You compare it to like a Tarasha Ring with 250% non-physical damage, the items with the non-physical damage are extremely strong if you don't compare them to level 100 glyphs. Because it triple dips. And why does it triple dip? So I want to show you. So if you look at our stat sheets, as you can see, my damage with fire is 1200. Don't look at the top number, look at the bottom number. Then my damage with cold is 1200. And my damage with lightning is 794. So if we enter Enlightenment state, remember, it says it's gonna be my bonus of all of them combined. So at least judged by the tooltip, it's not exactly like this. So I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen, right? We have 794.3, and this is our lowest damage with lightning. And for whatever reason, it's just gonna multiply the lowest one with 3. So it's not gonna add all 3 up together, because then we would end up at what is this? 2400 plus 700. So we would end up at like 3200 or something like that. So it's not going to do that. It's going to take our lowest one and multiply it times 3. Again, I don't know why, but it's going to do that. It still makes it triple effective, but it makes basically this Frostburn not at its full damage potential. And I don't know if this is just a tooltip bug or if this is really that you just get the lowest number and the wording on the aspect is just weird. I don't know. That has to be tested out. I don't have the time to test that yet. But basically, if you look at this now, right, we have 98 stacks, so we are becoming enlightened. And if I cast 2 more spells here, so just look what happens to the number now if I cast 1 Ice Blades and my Ice Armor. So you can see now it says damage with fire and everything. It's like 233.7, right? So it basically takes the lowest number and like the 794 and multiplies it by 3. That being said, it doesn't seem to be multiplying it exactly by 3, so I don't 100% know what's going on there. But, you know, I would say you can roughly say it's gonna do something with your non-physical damage, and it's gonna be roughly 3 times the damage. I don't know exactly what it is. It's also just a tooltip, so it would have to be tested on the dummies more like with more detail. But if we just calculate it for now, we take these 794.3. 794.3 times 3. It's gonna be 2,382, and I think we had 2,322 or something like that. So I don't know why the number is not exactly matching up. I also don't know why it's not cold plus fire plus lightning, because that's what it actually says in the tooltip. But in the end, you know, it's still gonna give us a substantial chunk of damage, especially if we have a lot of non-physical damage on our items. So what does this mean for Paragon building? You might be tempted to, you know what, I'm already getting like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of non-physical damage from my gear and hundreds and hundreds of additive damages from my glyphs. So you might be tempted, for example, not to pick these 30% non-physical damage. But remember, this is actually not 30%, this is actually 90% because it triple dips. Same goes for these glyphs here. So you might be saying, hey, Tactician is not really so good, because, you know, it just gives you, in this case, as a level 100 glyph, just gives you like 250% additive damage. So that's much, much weaker than any other glyph. Well, first of all, it gives you 100 intelligence, which is, you know, depending on your gear, it's a couple of percentage points more multiplier. But also the 104% non-physical damage this actually gives you is actually 312%. So that adds it up to roughly 500% additive damage. So 500% additive damage plus the extra 100 intelligence is actually worth a lot more than you might think. So that's actually just something I want to, you know, give you on the way to think about when you're building, especially when you're building your items, focus on the non-physical damage. And also look at these glyphs more closely and see if you can actually get a non-physical damage glyph, which might be better than one of the additive glyphs. Again, if the glyphs are level 100, the additive damage bonus from the other glyph might be a little bit stronger than non-physical damage, so for the very late game, they probably become more strong, but especially if you're looking at the gear, it's worth looking at the non-physical damage, because, as we just saw, it actually triple dips. So that's it for this video, thank you so much for watching, and I see you guys next time.